What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. It is going down today. As you know, we are talking football, we are talking Steelers, we're talking sports. Today is going to be a special one because we have a great group of men who love football. We have some former players, we have some fanatic fans, and then we have some coaches from the NFL level and college level. We're going to go ahead and bring our guest in. Welcome, gentlemen.
What's
Welcome,
up? What's up?
welcome,
How you
welcome.
doing?
What's
Saban.
good?
What's up?
They say you save the best for last. What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing today?
We good.
Great.
Good.
Doing all right,
Oh
doing all
man,
right.
so much to unpack. But before we start, I want to go ahead and break everybody down. I want everybody to introduce themselves to the audience. Before we begin, my name is Pitch from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. Push could not be here with us. We are streaming live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. In addition to this, will air on Bowie TV, Comcast Channel 77, Verizon Channel 11. We can start from the top and work our way down. Terrence Sr., Money Mitch, Titus, Sean, Will Mitch, and then Coach Hugh.
I am Terrence Pitts Sr. I am the father of Pitts on the other side of Pitts and Push, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm Mitchell Matthews, aka Money Mitch of Matt Full Sports Podcast. I'm excited about this.
Go ahead, Ty.
Titus from Titus Takes. It's been an exciting 24-hour period in professional sports right now with coaching. I'm excited to talk to guys today.
Go ahead, Sean.
Sean Farr, just excited to talk sports with all this knowledge that I see right here. So excited to be here.
Go ahead, Will.
Will Mitch representing DMV Still Deal admin. You see the official logo. What's happening? Happy to be here, gentlemen.
Take us away, Coach.
And Hugh Jackson, former two-time NFL coach, head coach, former college coach, head coach, and excited to be a part of this and know some of this journey that some of these men have been through.
Coach, we might as well go. Let's go. Let's just go ahead and take it away and start with you. Your thoughts on Nick Saban retiring?
Oh my gosh, it's been an unbelievable couple of days. I mean, you're talking about arguably one of the greatest college coaches ever to grace the sideline. Finally decided to hang it up, and not after he won a championship. After he made it to the game right before the championship,
Yes.
and again, you just never know what those triggers are to make a guy say, "I'm going to walk away." Now, but I've always envisioned him walking out, winning the trophy, winning the championship, and riding off into the sunset. But everybody is going to make their exit how they decide to do it. But boy, what an unbelievable career!
Absolutely. Terrence Sr.
Yeah, I first of all, shock. Someone who seems to still be on top of their game, knowing the ins and outs of the game. I don't think he lost that fight for the game. I think the game has changed. I think the process has changed, and I think sometimes you just lose that lust and don't want to compete that way anymore. You just want to get on the field, and coach can speak to that and coach your kids with X's and O's. But there's so many other factors into this game now. It's changed. So am I surprised? Yes. But is it unexpected? Sometimes no.
Money Mitch.
Um, it was shocking. It was shocking. Uh, I didn't expect him to do it after he lost to my Wolverines. Um, but I think you're about to see a seismic shift with him not being in Alabama. It's gonna be a big difference in the country. I don't think Alabama about to be what we used to seeing them be without Nick Saban being there.
Okay, Titus.
After watching Nick Saban's interview on ESPN about why he stepped down, a part of it he said he talked about age and not being able to keep up. When you look at the recruiting landscape, NIL, transfer portal, all that wears on a guy who's in their 70s. I'm not surprised that he retired, but I'm kind of disappointed in a way because I don't want to see him go, even though I'm not a big fan of Alabama. But I understand. I mean, he's in his 70s. There's a lot as a college coach. There's a lot that you have to do as an administrator that he is, how he operates his program, and it's time for somebody else to step up and take the reins of the top coach in the SEC.
Sean?
I was surprised too, but I think similar to what Terrence Senior and Titus said, I think it was the landscape. So that NIL and the transfer portal, I think he is like, you know what, I don't even want to mess with this. I'm out. Like I got some chips. Like let me go sit down and maybe coach high school or coach my grandson flag football team, something. But I think it was that NIL and that portal stuff. He's like, I don't want no more to do with this. So,
Will?
Yeah, Titus and Sean just Steve Harvey, my line. So, but I mean, I was gonna say the
Okay,
exact
Cat.
same thing.
hey, at least you don't got the lace front though. At least you don't got the lace front.
But you got a nice line up, boy, both of you. But no, hey man, I just think it's the end of an era. I think what the gentleman said that it's the portal, the landscape, to change the way the game is. He's an older gentleman, he's old school. And he probably he's stepping aside. I think he probably knows, who's going to succeed him. He'll probably have a hand in that, hopefully. And Alabama's not going anywhere, man. They're going to be around, so it's going to be exciting to see, where college football goes when all the OGs step aside like that.
Is Alabama still going to reign supreme in the SEC?
No.
We start with you, Coach.
No, they won't. I mean, it's and I think that's part of the decision of the head coach. He made a decision because he saw that there was teams that were comparable to Alabama now. The portal, all these NIL opportunities is kind of created somewhat of a level playing field. And so there's a couple of schools that can acquire more money than Alabama. So you have to factor all those things in. So I don't think they're gonna just run the table like they used to.
Titus, do you think, even though Dan Lanning said he's not leaving Oregon, do you think if the job was offered to him, he'll take it? You're muted, Titus.
I think he stands on his word. Dan Lanning stands on his word. He's been adamant in multiple interviews. Most coaches are evasive about things like that. He's been very adamant about, I am happy in Oregon. My family's happy in Oregon. I want the job. So I think he's one of the very rare few that's going to stay put. I can't say that for everybody, but for him, I think he's going to stay put.
Coach Hugh, one name is being floated out there, and that's Deion. Is Deion moving from Colorado?
No, I'm going to say this. Why would any coach leave to go follow in those shoes? I mean, you can create what you want to create, whether you're at Oregon or Colorado, right? And within 5 hours that Nick Saban had retired, Shedeur Sanders was saying, "Hey, Alabama players, get at me." Mm-hmm. So you can create now what you want to create wherever you are. You don't need to go step in those shoes and go follow Nick Saban. I think that's a hard job now.
But I think
you can't live up to what he's done.
I think there's somebody that can go in there and still keep the ship rocking straight. He's right here on the show. So why not?
How straight are you going? Oh, how straight? Oh, come on, let's go.
You right here on the show.
I got a couple American Express cards. Let's go.
Listen, listen, Alabama, we got a coach right here that's still tapped in and can get the job done. So why not throw your hat in the ring? Gentlemen, Bill Belichick decided to walk away, or him and the Patriots decided to part ways. I'm pretty sure a lot of AFC teams smiled, being as though the Patriots just wreaked havoc for years. Will Bill Belichick coach again in the NFL? Money Mitch.
I went back and forth with this earlier because I know he's older, but I think he still want to coach. So I'm gonna say yeah. But I think Belichick is one of the great minds in football. Period. I think you got. I often talk about more about not just what he did in New England, but what he did when he was at the New York Giants. And a lot of people kind of gloss over that. He a great defensive mind, man. but I think he want to coach more, so I think he's gonna coach again. I just don't know where.
So, Senior, what's your thoughts on Bill Belichick and the Patriots parting ways?
First of all, I think it was time. There's always
Mm-hmm.
Bill's done as much as he possibly could do for that team. I think where Bill hurt himself was when he was the GM and couldn't bring in better talent. Because for years the talent was masked because you had Tom Brady and you had a good defense. Now, as they spoke, he hasn't re-signed a player that he signed initially. None of his players have been re-signed for a second contract, and that's because Bill brought those players in. So as a coach, he was good. As a GM, he failed, and I think that's where his issues came. It didn't come from on the field, but what happened on the field is he put those players on the field, so it was still his responsibility. That's where he lacked and lost.
Titus, what's your thoughts to what Terrence Senior just said?
I agree. I think he will coach, but he won't have the autonomy that he had in the Patriots organization with player personnel decisions. But I do think that he's still a phenomenal coach. He just needs to stay away from player personnel issues. So I think he'll coach again.
Sean Farr?
Yeah, I think he'll coach again. I mean, if I was him, I go to the Chargers. You got a franchise QB, and you got defense. Like you got defensive players, I should say. You got Khalil Mack, you got Bosa. So him being that defensive man that he is, I think he can make that defense play up to what it should be playing. So I think he definitely wants to coach again. Like I said,
Will Mitch?
Yeah, I think he'll be an asset, obviously, to any team. Look at me using the word obviously, like Coach Tomlin, but I think he'll be an asset to any team. But just looking at his face the last couple of weeks, I just didn't see the joy of coaching, on his face. And I know they didn't have the year that he wanted, but I mean, his public demeanor, it just looked like a man that was old and tired and worn down. And I heard him say today that he still wants to coach, but you know, I guess if an organization is going to turn over the reins to him, they'll have to figure something out, that they can agree on. But I wouldn't turn over the GM role and the head coaching to him, 71 years old. I would limit, what he can do, and his impact. Like I said, it's going to be great regardless of where he plays. So, our coaches, I mean, so.
Coach Hugh, there are 7 vacancies right now for head coaching jobs in the NFL. For a former coach as yourself who still wants to coach and who still should be coaching, what is it? Is there something that you have to do or that you can do to let them know, hey, I'm still here and I want to coach?
You go coach. It doesn't matter where. People have to know that you still have that passion and that burning desire to be out there coaching in the day-to-day part of it. But I just wanted to back up for a second because just think about what we just said about one of the greatest coaches in our history, Bill Belichick. Okay, well, he's going to go someplace else. Well, he's not the GM he used to be. He's this, he's that. This guy has won more Super Bowls than almost anybody. He's 71 years old. At some point in time, the game catches up with you, right? So, I mean, if I'm him, I'm going to go down there with Saban and go have me a couple of cold ones, and we're going to chill because we're both really good defensive minds and go be consultants wherever we want to be. There's nothing else for him to prove.
Right.
Nothing. And
Right.
so, we forget because we're so used to the Patriots being so good, but that was during Tom Brady's time.
Right.
And you got to have the right pieces in order to make it work. So he was a great GM when there was Tom Brady. He's not a very good GM when there's not Tom Brady. So I think we want to give him the credit he deserves. I think he's one of the greatest ever. Look, he can do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to go coach, if he wants to go sit at home, if he wants to go be a consultant, let's let him have his time.
Right.
Now, you just said it. All of these openings, there's 8 NFL openings. That's the first time in the history that's happened. Why did it happen? That's the biggest question. Why did it happen? There was 3 teams that didn't make the playoffs. That last game could have put them in the playoffs. And we wouldn't have been having this conversation today this way. It just goes to show you, I would still say again, how teams are this day and age of let's make it happen quick. Let's make it happen faster than what it is. Keep up with the Joneses or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I just think people pull triggers way too fast.
I agree.
And it's just going to be interesting how these teams, because now we're going to ask some of these young coaches who maybe not be ready,
Right.
and again, their success happens because of the environment they're in.
Right.
That don't mean they can create it over there.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting how it all unfolds.
Titus, I see you had something brewing.
I have a question for Coach.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
You stated that you don't think any Coach Belichick has anything to prove. And when the divorce with Tom Brady happened and Tom went to Tampa and Tom won a Super Bowl, and there was a talk about who's more responsible, is it Tom or is it Coach Belichick? Now that he has an opportunity to go somewhere else, do you think there's any pride in him or ego in him? And we're humans, right? That for him, he can say, well, I went somewhere 1-2 with somebody else.
I agree with you. I think guys, we're all alpha males, right? And we love to compete that way. But I think he's very smart and understands he's not going to find Tom Brady on maybe 31 of these other teams somewhere. That was a special time for him. That was a special time for that quarterback. And boy, if I could duplicate that with another quarterback, I'll try. But that's hard to do. There's not another Tom Brady out there playing right now. Lamar Jackson. So it's a whole different time. And so I just think we have to, again, if he wants to do it, do it. But I get it. If he doesn't, man, look, we all gonna always talk about Bill Belichick as one of the greatest coaches ever.
Right.
So, Coach, and it's funny, we touched on this, me and Push touched on this with you in regards to, Southern and Grambling, not allowing the process to actually play out. And one of the comments that I see and has been stated by Shaka Pitts was that we are in a microwave age in regards to results. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And it's no more building. It's go in and win now. And I think you guys see the college landscape when you first come in, it's different, right? I mean, that first year, you're really not recruiting you're still recruiting for the team that you have there now, because you can't go in there and wipe everybody out. Now, Dion did what Dion did, right? And he was able to make that happen. Everybody's not able to do that like that because everybody's administration is not going to say, do it that way. So your next year of recruiting is really your first year of recruiting.
Right.
And unless you've been in that particular conference, been in the college game that way, it's just different. And so people have to understand that. And not just, again, nothing towards Grambling, nothing towards Southern, nothing towards the NFL teams. Everybody wants what they want, and so I think the collaboration of a vision and what we're really trying to accomplish and how do we see that happening is more important now today than it's ever been.
Sean, I see you had something that you wanted to say before I accidentally cut you off.
Oh, you good. I was just saying, I wanted to say, I mean, you said it was 8 openings, Coach. I just want to see, I don't know, 8 openings. Can we get some brothers up on the sticks, man? That's what I want to see. At least 4 out of the 8. I mean, I take 8 out of 8, but
you know what? But I appreciate you saying that, because now is the time. Now, and I love that you're bringing this up. Now is the time to equal the playing field, right? You just said it. There's 8 openings. I've never forget. I've said this to the National Football League before. Here's a chance that we can get it right. 4 can go to our Caucasian brothers. 4 can go to our minority brothers, and we'll feel like we're making progress. If it ends up 5-3, if it ends up 6-2, if it ends up 7-1, then we've not made the progress that we thought we have made. There's no question about that.
Yeah, we need at least 4.
Will Mitch, right before you, Money Mitch. You go Money Mitch, Will Mitch, and then Terrence Singer.
Hey, Coach, my question, do you because this be on my mind a lot. Do you think that organizations don't take enough time to develop players nowadays than they did in the past?
Absolutely. I think practices, from what I've heard and what I've seen, practices are way different ever since COVID, there's not as much physicality in practice as it used to be. So you don't get the chance to sharpen those players at a high level, and they come into the season. And you guys have seen it when the season starts. You see teams not play as well early, and then all of a sudden they catch fire and they start playing. And those are the teams that are trying to make sure they take care of their talent and don't get them hurt. And normally those teams come on because they just have better talent. The teams that are physical, the teams that get after it, they get off to a really good start, because they understand football is football. It's still blocking and tackling. It's the rudiments of football. And when the teams that do that, they normally take off really fast. So those teams are developing players just maybe a little bit more. But I think there is a decline in the development process in the National Football League, right?
Will?
Speaking of African American head coach candidates, where do you see Coach Brian Flores maybe landing, or is he do you think he's ostracized because of his case against the NFL?
I don't. So here's a way for the NFL to make it right if they wanted to, right? I mean, as long as he's coaching, as long as he's in an upper management role, I'm talking about as coordinator, head coach, he's going to make really good money. There's probably a good chance there's not going to be a case, that's going to happen later on. In my opinion, I could be totally wrong, but I just think on his own merit, I think on who he is, his ability to coach defense, he's as good as there is. I know the last couple of weeks, Minnesota didn't probably play as well, but at the same time, I think he deserves one of these opportunities.
What's a good fit for him, you think?
When I look at it, you really want to be, normally, if you're a defensive coach, you want to be somewhere where you have a quarterback, right? So you think of the Chargers, or you want to be in a position where you can draft a guy that you're going to be very comfortable with. So any of those teams where there's a quarterback already, or there's an opportunity that you can get a quarterback early that you can say is my guy, I think it's the right fit for him.
Terrence Senior, do you have anything to say or a question you want to ask?
Coach, I have two questions. One, we know the Rooney Rule was broken. What do we need to do to fix this situation? And two, 70-80% of our players are minority, African American or Black. Do Black coaches feel that they're not getting enough support from these players? Because look, they're the ones making them most of the money. They're the ones, the big marquee players, but they never seem to support our Black coaches who are coming out. Do y'all guys ever talk about that? If we can get more support from them, then maybe this process could be fixed.
Well, let me say this. It's hard to have that conversation with a team, right? Because our Caucasian brothers are in there, and so, and a lot of the opportunities that we have, we don't get to voice that opinion. Are the players, it's just whether they're minority players or white players, they're not going to ever do anything to jeopardize their future. They're just not going to do that. And we get it, Now, is there situations where a player says, look, I want you to keep my coach, my position coach? Absolutely. That happens throughout the National Football League. But when it's talked about the decisions that an executive committee makes that's part of an organization, players normally don't get involved with that. But now look what's happening at the Raiders. They are voicing, that is a different organization. That's Al Davis. That's the Raider way, so it's been okay. Those players are shouting to the rooftops, we want Antonio Pierce. Now, Mark has to make the decision, and I'm sure he will, but it's going to be interesting to see which way that one goes, because you have a bunch of players, whether they're Caucasian players or Black players, saying, we want this coach.
Yeah.
So here's a great example of what you're saying right now.
But my question to that is, they made that same noise for, what was the other interim coach, and Davis didn't listen to them.
Coach Rich Basal.
Yeah. My question, as far as you, when you're with other minor, because a lot of Black players are going to be in this position. They want to coach. They want to stop this trend. You don't think they would have the process to think about, we need to stop it now because it's going to happen to me later on?
Well, you sure think so. You would hope that, there was because we haven't had enough, right? So however many years it's been in the National Football League now, I think 108. What they've been, 29 minority head coaches in the history of the league. So that's a problem within itself. So you would think that we have that group, already somewhere that is having those conversations, but for some reason we haven't fixed it, right? For whatever that reason is. And I just think it's hard to do. I think the players hear it, but I think it's hard to get the players together to say, we need to do something about this, because many of them, because I think we all know on this particular podcast, there's one group that could change this in a heartbeat, and it's those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
definitely,
quarterbacks. And
definitely.
quarterbacks can change it fast. Well, go look around the conference and how many of those quarterbacks are being coached by minority men.
Good.
That's the question. It's not many.
That's good. That's
Ain't
right.
gonna like
So before we this was good take, you guys. Before we jump ahead, coach, there was a comment on Instagram by Raymond Boone. Not sure if you know, Raymond Boone was a safety that played for University of Maryland, transferred to Bowie State, was a standout All-American player, All CIAA, and his statement was, Coach Hugh, tell your old colleagues to come and sign me. Excuse me.
Absolutely. I'll do that for it. Absolutely.
So before we leave off of the coaching carousel and we talk about the Steelers and playoffs, I want to touch on something that we've been talking about, coaches. Coach Hugh, I want to get your take. I'm sure you've heard all the noise going around the world, social media, and the sports analyst jobs, ESPN, First Take, etc. The cause of wanting Mike Tomlin fired. What are your thoughts about that?
Get out of here.
right.
Let's just put a stop to that right now. Mike is obviously, Mike's a Hall of Fame coach. Obviously, he's done it, just done a tremendous job at Pittsburgh, never had a losing season. And again, I think everybody at some point in time, whether it was Marvin Lewis, who's my best friend, whether it's Mike Tomlin, it's just really interesting that those coaches in that division stay as long as they've stayed, right? If you really look at John Harbaugh, Marvin Lewis, Mike Tomlin, those coaches have been there a long time. But saying that, how can you say he needs to be fired? Because of what? Look, there's no question they need to go get a quarterback. I think Mike gets that. They want to be better than what they've been on defense. They don't look the way they used to, especially early in the year. But all of a sudden, one thing about Mike, he knows how to push those buttons and get it fixed and get his team to play still with football. And that's what they're doing right now. He made a switch to the quarterback, and look what they're doing now. So it's going to be interesting how they go through the playoffs, because they're a physical football team. I think they're going to be a little down a little bit because they don't have, TJ Watt. So let's just be honest about that. But at the same time, they're going to be as good defensively as anybody in these playoffs.
So, well, since you already started in that trend, what are your thoughts in regards to the Steelers' chances of beating Buffalo in Buffalo?
No. I think that's going to be a tough task. Because not having TJ, and again, I think Mason Rudolph has done a really good job, but I think Josh Allen is going to be the difference maker in that game.
Okay, Terrence Sr.
I agree with Coach Terrence Jr. calls me a half and half fan, but I told him
I say something different. He just made it mad.
But Coach, you guys, you have to understand. I tell my son I'm a realist. I've coached high school. I've coached youth ball. I see the differences. I know that Buffalo has better talent than we have, especially on the quarterback position. With TJ being out, is going to hurt us, and I think the snow is going to help us. But I think Buffalo's also better prepared for that, and Mason Rudolph is not thrown in that type of weather with the wind coming. So he is already limited. It's going to limit the skills that he has less anyhow.
Will Mitch?
Hey, I'm optimistic, man. I'm hopeful. Just watching Buffalo against Miami and just to see how they righted that ship at the end, man. I got a little nervous. I said, wow, that run game, those offensive linemen were blocking and them boys were running the ball. And and the defense was flying around. So it's going to be a tough game. But, I really think Coach Tomlin has these boys dialed in. I can tell you what, we're gonna give 110% if that's possible. And they're going to leave that game knowing they were in the game. They may not be as ready for the next game after our game, but I'm hopeful, man. I wouldn't put money on it, but I'm rocking with black and gold for real. So we're gonna see.
Titus?
So my stance is Buffalo has two ways of beating you, and obviously Josh Allen is the number one way of beating you. But if you've noticed in recent weeks, they've controlled the line of scrimmage and run James Cook down people's throats. And with the weather being as it's going to be, if we don't control the line of scrimmage, we don't stand a chance. Was it 2 weeks ago? Josh Allen attempted 17 passes, had 6 completions, threw for about 100 yards, and they blew.
And they won. It was like almost 300 yards rushing.
So with James Cook, and now you got playoff Lenny Fournette, right? Now in that locker room, now at Rock. I don't like our chances. Taking my fan hat off, I don't like our chances, but still gonna hope for the best.
Money Mitch.
Okay, so I'm gonna be that guy. We win this game. We win. We gonna win this game. We gonna. Everything y'all said is true. Josh Allen, one of my favorite quarterbacks, right? But I feel like just like they run the ball, we run the ball. We got 22. That's how I look at it. I feel like we can punish them up front, and I think we can run the ball and keep Josh Allen on the sideline, control the clock. I think the young outside backers that we have with Highsmith and Herbig, I think we can do a little. Not we can't replace TJ Watt. Let me be clear, because there's no replacing TJ Watt. Absolutely not. But you can play games up front and clever blitzes, and you know what I'm saying. They just gotta win. They gotta win the line of scrimmage, like Ty said. And I think we got the guys to do it. I think we can get it done. Not saying that we're gonna blow them out, but we can get it done. If you can control the clock and run the football and score touchdowns, not field goals, we can get this done.
Sean, I see you shaking your head. What's your thoughts?
Nah, son. Nah. I'm sorry. I want us to win, but I don't think it's gonna happen because TJ Watt's not there. I mean, you taking a defensive player of the year away. I know he might not get it, but he pretty much is. And then you going against a top 10 defense. I mean, you have to control the line of scrimmage. And if we have to pass, I'm pretty certain that Dan Moore is going to get his cookies eaten by Von Miller or whoever they got rushing the passer. Because it's been happening pretty much all year. So I don't think they can do it. Plus, if you think about it, we got probably the worst quarterback in the AFC playoffs. So in terms of like everybody else, when you think of QBs, you're like, who? Mason Rudolph? So I'm like, nah. So you know what I mean? We don't. I don't think we have the horsepower to do it, and we're 1-10 without Watt. So I mean, it's wishful thinking. I know Najee up front, but I just don't see him doing it, man. I don't see like the playoff experience from Rudolph for one, and I don't see them scheming nothing up to be able to stop Allen and that defense, man. The only D-back I got confidence in, I know Minka's playing, is Peasy Jr. Because I know, like, again, Wallace is going to get baked by somebody.
Oh, God.
I can guarantee he's going to get baked by somebody. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah. Can I have one thing that we don't talk about, and that's Percy Harvin. Special teams is going to hurt us. He hasn't been kicking well, and we're going into climate that's not good, and he's been averaging 30 to 40. He's not doing a good job. And you're going into the wind and the snow. That's not going to factor into our favor.
Right. So I'm gonna touch on the punter situation. But we have a Steeler fan on Instagram that said he's a believer. Fingers crossed, Steelers is going to get it done by the name of Keon Davis, which is my nephew who's in a group with me and my dad called Two Fans and a Fake. So, but okay, I'm gonna start with the punter first because that was the last thing that was brought up. I don't know if you guys know this, but we did bring Brad Wing back, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tomlin doesn't have a good feel for what Harvin is doing, that he doesn't switch Wing in, because when Wing replaced him for those 2 games, Our plus minus was great. Like situational football became, situational football for Pittsburgh, where it ain't like in the Indianapolis game where we decided not to kick the field goal, but we decided to punt to pin them down into the red zone, and it was a 27-yard punt at the 28-yard line. It's different, and that's why I believe he brought Brad Wayne back, because he realizes that even with, and especially with the inclement weather, that is going to play a major role in how this game transpired. Now, for me, I believe, as always, football is won in the trenches, right? It depends on the offensive line and the defensive line, right? And yes, we are without TJ, but one thing that I know for sure is that the Dolphins was without Bradley Chubb, and Josh Allen is Josh, but Josh can make some Josh errors as well. And Josh can he can turn the ball over, whether he's fumbling it because he's playing Superman ball, or if he's throwing errant passes. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to transpire for us on Sunday, but what I'm saying, that if those opportunities do arise and if they do come, then the Steelers have to maximize them. They have to maximize those moments. We have to maximize time of possession, long drives, but we can't settle for field goals. We have to get touchdowns. And I think, if we can balance it out and not allow Josh to take over, I think they have a chance. It's no difference than, mano a mano. Like when I put my pads on the same way you do. You know what I mean? So I don't go into a game with a mindset like the person across from me is better. My mindset, or I would hope the Steelers' mindset is, especially with all of the disrespect that's coming, people aren't even just picking us to lose. They're picking us to get blown out. Like, so it becomes digging one of those deep, even if it was a dig deep down inside, we were victorious this week, we somehow move on the next week and they lay flat. But they gotta, you have to pull something from that. And I don't believe that you should have to motivate a player to play. That player should already be motivated. But that's extra. That's whipped cream on top of the dessert for me. Is when you basically just say, "Lay down and die."
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can I ask you, Coach Jackson? You come into a game like this because you've been there, and everything is stacked against you. What are you telling your players for the Pittsburgh Steelers to come out to be able to win this game?
No, we're circling the wagon. It's us against everybody. We're going to do everything we can to make this game a physical game. We're going to try to slow the game down as much as we can because we know we're in their stadium. But we're going to try to block out all the other elements. We're going to try to block out the fans, and we're going to do everything we can to circle the wagons, play great Steelers football. We understand we're a physical football team. We're going to have to go exert being physical. We got to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hand. We can't let him beat us at the end of the day because we know he can throw it and beat us, and we know he can run the ball and beat us. And if you beat us a different way, then, hey, it was just your day. But we're not going to let Josh Allen beat us.
And, and I want to say something. Regardless of our seeding, we both needed help to get in. I think people lose sight of that. We both got in on the same loss. And so I think that Buffalo's beatable. We beat them in the preseason. The last time we played them, we played them tough the first half. It got away from us in the second half. But I think we can match up well with them in the trenches on offense and defense. And but I think that what it took for us to get to where we are, I think our boys believe. I think they're focused. I think they're dialed in. And it's going to be a scrap. It's going to be a good game, and the best team is going to win ultimately. But I think that we have just as good of a chance of winning that game as Buffalo.
Hopefully, the Buffalo Bills that played against the New York Jets show up. Let's say that.
I'm just. My thing is this: again, I want them to win, but I'm not confident because again, I think you have a team that's top 10 in offense and defense going against, in offense, we in the bottom, we like 25th, something like that. Defensively, we like in the middle.
Not over the last 4 games though. We've been balling.
We've been a different team over the last 4 games.
It's not like we've been going against dope defenses in the last few games. So.
But the middle of the field has been a struggle for us. with our middle linebackers in pass coverage and stopping and run. The two inside linebackers, really 4 been rotating in and out because some of them can't can't play zone, and some of them can't tackle to stop the run, and that's really been killing us. And with Dalton Kincaid in the middle, and then you got Josh Allen running the football with James Cook, it's gonna be tough.
We got Minka.
Hold on. I got a question for all of y'all. So the inclement weather is just not going to affect us; it's going to affect them also. And Mason arm strength is not chopped liver. Let me state that he has a very strong arm. I'm not saying he got a Josh Allen strong arm, but he has a very strong arm. I don't think that their secondary as strong as everybody giving them credit for.
Oh no, them boys can play.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Them boys can play.
Hold on. So you don't think that Pickens can beat their corner? You don't think Deontay Johnson can beat their corners?
I look at the top help. I look at Poyer. I look at Rapp. I look at them safeties. And the safeties got range. Like, let's start there. Their safeties not only have range, but they're solid tacklers. Right? Yeah, they rarely let anything get behind them. Right? So and you gotta think they don't let teams take the top off of them. So for it's going to be one of those games where Deontay Johnson, a Calvin Austin, a Darnell Washington, a Pat Frymuth, or a Connor Hayward, somebody else is going to have to really take that because I believe they're going to double GP.
Pickens.
You're right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Somebody else got to take advantage of that. But go ahead, Coach Hugh. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think you guys all have tremendous points. I think Mason Rudolph, this is going to be his first playoff game. I think that's where it starts for me, because I think the teams that quarterbacks play the best at this time of the year is the teams that have the best chance to win. And there's no doubt it starts up front. I think Pittsburgh's really come on recently because of the passing game. I think Mason Rudolph gave them new life because the ball was getting spread around to these receivers so they could make plays, which gave the running game new life. So Buffalo is going to do everything they can to make them one-dimensional. If I'm them, I'm going to make them throw the football. I'm going to make Mason Rudolph beat me in this inclement weather. I'm not going to let you run the ball up and down the field. So that's got to be something to think about, if I'm Buffalo. And I think Buffalo's coach, I think he does a good job. I think they have enough players to, slow Pittsburgh down a little bit that way, in my opinion. Yeah. And try to make Rudolph beat him. And then I think the unhidden yardage in the special teams game is what's going to be important. And I think if Pittsburgh can do that with Austin, because I think he's very talented, I think he needs to play well. But they got to do everything they can to get Josh Allen to turn this ball over, to have one of those games where he doesn't play as well. If they can do that, they have a chance. Other than that, I think it's going to be a tough day for the Steelers. That's just my opinion.
And then I'll give Terrence Senior, Will Mitch, Sean Farr. You guys can go ahead and have another comment after that, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap it up.
My biggest thing is we can't do what we did against Baltimore. We had 4 turnovers, 3 from Mason Rudolph by himself. He got a couple of those he got back, and that was in the rain. You cannot turn the ball over in this game. If you do, and field position, especially if you're going into the red zone or if you're backed up, you have to control not only the interior, as Coach was saying, and Titus and everyone else is saying, but you've got to be able to keep the ball in your own hands. If we lose that turnover ratio,
ain't no way. Yeah.
Will Mitch.
I just want to remind everybody that Mink and KZ are coming back. We're going to have some fresh legs in the game, but Terrell Austin is definitely going to have to be able to keep up with the offensive play calling. I mean, the weather will hopefully slow that down and make it an attrition game so that will help him out. But he's going to have his hands cut out for him. But the fact that we do have some veteran players, number 20 and whatnot on the field with Mink and them coming back, I think that we got some coaches on the field that's going to kind of help us out. They may be a little skittish in the beginning, but I think by the second half, you're going to really see our defense start to dig in and give us a chance. And if we can sustain a good run game with our two-headed monster, 22 and 30, we have just as good of a chance of giving them hell as they're going to give it to us. And sorry for the curtain.
Sean?
I know, Mitch, you said that Mason got an arm. However, if it do like Coach Jackson said and make us one dimensional, again, the tackles, Dan Moore is going. He's just like, I don't know. He's a turnstile when it comes to pass. When it comes to pass blocking, he's a good run
Turnstile.
blocker.
He
But
turnstile.
and he's probably gonna go against Von Miller. He's gonna go against Von Miller. Like it's a wrap. Mason is fumbling if we got past. I'm just telling you now, because Von Miller gonna blow right past him.
He's getting help. He's gonna get
Only
some help.
All right, you
he better
guys. I
give him
think
help.
I thank you guys very much. Before we close out, I want to do something special. But what I want to do is I'm gonna do something that I haven't done before. I want to go ahead and close out. If you have a page that you want to shout out, you can. After you shout out your page, I'm going to drop you guys off. Coach Hugh, I'm gonna leave you for last. And I just want to get your take again for those who may have missed the conversation in regards to vacancies. And, really, if they really took the Rooney rule seriously, your thoughts in regards to the open vacancies, and I think we need to push that. And I think that's something that needs to be spread out there in regards to there are so many opportunities, just like the years past where they said Eric Bieniemy was, he was interviewed, but for some odd reason he didn't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me because that's the same Eric Bieniemy that left Kansas City, where a Kansas City team who's struggling offensively and their play calling look like they got Matt Canada on conference calls sometimes helping them call plays. But that's just my opinion. So Terrence Senior, did you have anything that you wanted to share at this
The only
time?
thing I'll say is, Coach Hughes, first of all, thank you for supporting my son and Pitts and Push. I appreciate that. All you brothers on here, I thank y'all for the opportunity to continue to do what you're doing because we need positive black men. So our young men can see they don't have to be on the streets, but they can be doing other things. So I thank y'all. God bless y'all, and have a great New Year.
All right, go ahead, Will Mitch.
Hey, just want to shout out DMV Still Deal. Hey, that's the Tri City here. We're trying to bring this area together, come together, watch games, show some love, show your Steelers spirit. Holler at us if you ever want to get together and watch a game, tailgate, whatever the case is. We down for anything. Appreciate you, Terrence, for the invite. Hey, it was just wonderful, hearing from you, brothers. Coach you. Hey, it's an honor, being in your presence and on a podcast with you. So I'm gonna treasure this one for life. So, just want to sign out. Happy New Year to you, brothers, and hope to see you again in the near future.
All right, Sean.
Again, yes, thanks for having us on, Terrence. Thank you, Coach U. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Hopefully you get one of them 8 spots in the NFL. Enjoy being on here with you brothers just to talk sports. Thank you.
All right. Oh, wait, I took off Titus. My bad, Titus. My bad, Titus. Oh, man. Go ahead, Money Mitch.
Hey, Coach, it was a pleasure being on here with you. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Terrence, as always, man, I know I'll talk to you later. It was just good chopping it up with y'all, man. Just good chopping it up.
And shoot out your podcast so everybody else can.
Oh, yeah, Matt Full Sports Podcast, man. Y'all check me out, man. Terrence be on there with me sometime, too, man.
I'm everywhere, man. All right, Titus.
Pitts, Push, I know you're out there listening. I appreciate the invite. I appreciate the ability to fellowship with you guys. Coach Hugh, it's been an honor to share a platform with you for 45 minutes. I wish you all the success in life and future coaching endeavors. And hopefully we see you again at another time. I'm Titus Takes. You can find me on any platform. Once again, thank you very much.
All right, Coach. It's just me and you, man.
Hey, you know how I feel. You guys are, first of all, that was tremendous tonight. What a great group of men. And to see your dad there, that's just phenomenal to me. And just to hear him talk about sports, it just tickled me pink. I wish my dad could have did that. But no, what a great group of people. What a great podcast you guys have. I enjoy being on here because you guys keep it real. You guys are doing an incredible job in this space and really, really deep diving into what football really is about. Because people talk about the surface things. You guys keep it real, and I appreciate that. I'm available. I can't wait to get back to coaching. I'm fired up. There's a lot of great things happening. And so I'm just looking forward to the next opportunity that's going to be out there.
And as you pivot to that, we talk about you coaching, as you said before, to those out there, Coach Hugh does indeed want to coach again. And we talked briefly on the vacancies right now in the NFL and how there are 8 of them. And we touched on the fact that um, it would be injustice if that playing field was not even with 4 minority coaches, because there are more than 4 qualified minority coaches out here. And it would be another injustice, as it has been over the last couple of years. Even when it came to the Mike McDaniels hiring, it was like, well, here you have a half and half one. Like, he's half African American. It kind of feels like we're being spoon fed to say, here, like, take this and go in a corner.
Mm-hmm. No, it is, and again, nothing against Mike or anybody, but
Right.
the people who look like us, we really sometimes don't get these opportunities, and so I hope there's a push. I hope that that starts to change now because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
That you would think that, like you said, there are 4 qualified minority head coaches out there that could go lead an organization. So I hope somebody gets that chance, and I hope that I'm in one of these organizations helping. And I've talked to Mike, I've talked to several people here over the last several weeks, and so we'll see how things unfold, here in the future, and hopefully things will turn out right for the minority men who deserve those opportunities, and for others who want to get those opportunities in the future.
Coach, has anyone contacted you, whether it's NFL or college, in regards to wanting to coach?
Yes, I have. I've had those conversations. I'm excited about where my future is going to go from here over the next couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm just eager to go help and serve and help the team be all they can be.
Absolutely. And as always, Coach, I'm gratefully appreciative of you and your time. And thank you again for joining me tonight.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
this was a blessing. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show with Coach Hugh Jackson. It's going down. Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. Pitt Sports Zone Bowie TV is coming live to Comcast Channel 77, Verizon Channel 11. Everyone stay safe, wear your mask, and let's watch some football. Playoffs. This is what we all waited for all this time.
Yeah.
We'll see if them Steelers can hold up.
Let's go, Pittsburgh.
Appreciate you, Coach.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Bye.